Hi, everyone. This is Caroline from Fiat Integrative Health in Franklin, Tennessee, and you're listening to the Fiat Health Podcast. We believe that now more than ever, the healthcare industry has become a place of confusion. And over the years, we have been asked countless questions about what true health and integration for the whole person looks like. Join us every other week as we explore topics ranging from primary care and women's health to counseling and spiritual health. We're so glad you're here. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Fiat Health Podcast. This is Caroline. I am a co-founder of Fiat and nurse practitioner here. Before we get started, I just want to put a little plug in that if you are listening to this and you have been listening to us, we would really love it if you'd leave a review. We'd love to hear from people or shoot us an email. If you've had a positive impact from our podcast, we'd love to hear those stories. Okay, so we'll jump right in. Today I'm here with Miss Jen Ragusa.
Hi.
Pediatric nurse practitioner.
Yes, ma'am.
Extraordinaire. So Jen and
Most days.
mostly. So Jen and I both primarily see kids here at Fiat, and we both have kids of our own.
Yes, I have two at home.
How old are they?
2.5 and 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Going on, 31.
Liana rules the roost.
Oh, my girl. She's getting me to heaven. She is.
Oh, I love it.
It's like a mirror sometimes of myself.
I know.
And maybe sometimes of her dad.
Yeah.
When I want to blame it on someone else.
Exactly. And then I have 6 kids, ages 10 to 15 months. And today I'm just super pumped about this episode because we are going to share our completely opposite experiences of sleep with children.
We've talked about this for years. And Caroline's like, we just got to make a podcast talking about it. Because it's just fun to listen to us talk so differently.
I know. I love it. First, we're going to jump into just some general guidelines for sleep. And then we'll jump into our own experiences, which will be super fun. I think everyone will get a good kick out of it. And I hope people will be able to relate to it. So Jen, why don't you just share with us kind of the different, what are the options out there when you're bringing a baby home from the hospital? There's just a couple different ways you can do sleep. So
I think the number one thing is not to let any grandpas ask if your baby is sleeping through the night at 2 weeks of age. Just say, I'm sorry, I'm not accepting that question right now. Because I think the number one thing to know is that sleep is talked about so much in our culture, and it has changed a lot over the years in the way that we view it. But at the end of the day, an infant has never changed the way they sleep. They do not sleep through the night. And if you have one, man, well, great. I mean, that's fantastic. But is it has your kid had any gaining weight issues or anything like that? Infants and newborns should be eating every 2 to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it is. So they should be waking up. Most kids wake up to eat. Now, some babies will just kind of say a little something and you give them something to eat and they don't wake up a lot, but all babies wake up. And really, I think one of the biggest things, I remember a physical therapist one time I was working inpatient and she was like, oh yeah, kids wake up during the middle of the night on and off for a number of years because there's so much development. There's so much going on in developing for the first 24 months of life. And sometimes they wake up because their subconscious is trying to crawl. And so all of a sudden they find themselves crawling in their crib, but they're not really even awake. So I think that's really super important to remember. It's just that sleep is different for every child in every different phase of development, but there are safe ways to do it. I think one of the biggest things, Caroline and I pride ourselves on, and any of our providers, is that when you come into our office, we want to know exactly how you're sleeping. Are you co-sleeping? Or is your baby sleeping in a crib? This is not taboo. This is something that we want to talk about. If they're sleeping in the bed with you, let's talk about how to do it safely. Because it's okay. It's normal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've never really understood the whole shaming parents for that because it can be done safely. It's been well studied and it's so natural.
Exactly.
Especially if you've got a really difficult baby that cries a lot, wants to sleep with you. It's kind of survival to have them in the bed with you a lot of times. So it's really important to us to be able to talk about those principles that make co-sleeping safe so that we make sure that we are doing it safely. And I think a lot of parents appreciate that because they're like, oh, I feel so nervous about doing this maybe because of what I've seen and what I've heard. And then you get the other end of the spectrum of parents who are like super laissez-faire and they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. And it's like, well, you should probably like take these certain precautions still when you're sleeping with your baby. So why don't you enlighten us, Jen?
Sure. So a book, and we'll put all this at the bottom of the podcast notes, but a book that I really like is called Sweet Sleep by the LHA Club. And they also have like safe, smart steps to safer bed sharing. And number one is no smoking inside or outside the home. If you have a smoker in the home, bed sharing should just not be considered. You should have sober adults. So, that means like, whoever is sleeping in the bed with the child should not have alcohol or be on any kind of, sedating medications. Also safest bed sharing is with an exclusive breastfeeder day and night. But you have to make those decisions for yourself. If you are formula feeding and, rolls around and your kid needs, this is something that you have contemplated, then you need to weigh those risks and benefits with your family, especially as they're getting older. Also, infants should be healthy babies that are full term. They should be on their back, even in an adult bed. They should be in light clothing, no swaddling. So they should be not sweating. And then on a safe surface. So soft mattress, no extra pillows, no toys, no blankets, no sheets that are covering them. There are people who will show you how to safe bed share on a mattress on the ground. You have your own twin size, sheets, blanket, and you make it work. You change the setting of a bedroom, and it's not something that you would necessarily expect. But when you do, you follow all the safety rules and you make it a safe and a really cozy environment for your family.
Yeah. And you can do it in your like normal king size bed too. A lot of times we'll, especially with a newborn in our house, like I might get a separate blanket. So I'm not worried about it being pulled up. If the baby's, especially the baby's in the middle of the bed, I tend to use like what are those things called that you put the baby?
Docatod.
Yeah, like a Docatod or something like that.
My husband would say or whatever.
Yeah, the thing in the middle, just because it makes me feel a little bit better when they're so tiny. And then obviously a lot of people use a co-sleeper.
Yep, like a side crib.
Side crib.
Absolutely. I would say my littles like use that for the first 6 to 8 months of life before they were really in the bed.
Yeah. So it's definitely a safe way to do it and things to keep in mind. Okay. What else do we want to talk about? We should jump into sleep training.
Yeah. So I think that's a big question for sure. Everybody's like, when is sleep training appropriate?
And I think like you were talking about earlier, like realistic expectations of babies. And I'll just speak kind of from my experience and what I've seen in patients as like patterns is that babies will wake frequently through the night, definitely through 3 months typically. Now, again, you have the outliers that at 6 weeks are sleeping through the night. Just a quick note, like anyone who's breastfeeding, if your baby's sleeping through the night, sleeping longer than 6-hour stretches, there is a risk that your supply will drop anytime you go longer than 6 hours without nursing. So I don't typically recommend letting a baby sleep longer than 6 hours till we're at the like 6 to 9 month mark and we're introducing solids. Do you agree with that?
I agree.
Yeah.
You
And
just
so
don't want to risk your breast.
yeah, it's hard to wake a sleeping baby.
Truly.
But I'd say, your supply dropping and then weight gain issues and all of that I've definitely seen that at that 4-month appointment, at that 6-month appointment when the baby starts sleeping through the night. So expectation is you're going to be up every 3 to 6 hours about nursing. And we talked in our newborn podcast, me and Ashlyn, about kind of some strategies of how to get a little bit more sleep, where you hand the baby off to dad for certain hours, especially kind of those evening hours that may be really tough, where you can get a longer stretch of sleep, hopefully, or at least an uninterrupted 3 hours of sleep. And then usually for me, I start letting my babies put themselves to sleep around 4 months. Now, I haven't read any studies or anything. I can't quote anything about this other than an experience.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's what we're here
and patient experiences as well. But between 3 and 4 months is when you can really start to tell very confidently, my child is tired, right? And so it's like they've eaten, we're in this pattern, we have clear signals like, I am tired. And so I take that as you're communicating to me you're tired. I'm going to train you that when you're tired, that we go to sleep, right? So I'll start laying them in their crib awake with like a certain routine. So we'll swaddle or, swaddle and then sing a song and pat your back and lay you down on your back awake. Personally, I put some of my babies on their bellies and they love it, but they're not swaddled. That's maybe a whole nother podcast about belly sleeping. And then they'll a lot of times maybe fuss for 5 or 10 minutes, never screaming their head off, right? So if they're like, I am losing my mind, then I go in there and I pick them up and I settle them, and then we try again another time. And I found that babies are really smart,
Yeah. I know they're tired, but if they're too wound up, then they just go into fight or flight.
Exactly.
So that's it. Just try again in 15 minutes or whenever they...
And your baby, when they're worked up and they're not settling down, you can tell, sleep training doesn't mean you leave them to the wolves. And so it's okay, a lot of times they'll start putting themselves to sleep. With my first child, we waited to sleep train till closer to 9 months. And I can tell you that it gets a lot harder once they get older than 9 months because they're more intuitive, more aware, where in that 3 to 4 month period, they're a little bit less aware and a little bit more amiable, to sleep and to learning how to do that. So anyways, that's what we do. I start with nap time. For whatever reason, none of my babies have ever wanted to nurse to sleep. So I also kind of found myself in a place, of that sounds dreamy. I'll just nurse you and you'll peacefully drift off to sleep. And I just lay you down. And I don't know why, but none of my babies really wanted to do that.
That's so
past
funny.
the newborn phase, So they were awake no matter what.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm I can either, where sleep training came into play is with our third, because I was I am incapable of rocking you to sleep.
For sure.
Because I have 2 toddlers who want to kill themselves downstairs.
Right.
And for their safety, I would be okay, I know you're tired. And I felt I didn't want to wear all the time, baby wear. I know a lot of our families do that and that's beautiful. But I was I'm already exhausted and have 2 small children. I don't feel I can meet their needs while baby wearing constantly. So I was okay, I'm going to put you down. I'll be right back.
Come back and check on you.
Yeah, I'll be right back. And by the time I came back, she was asleep. And it was oh my gosh, I think we just sleep trained.
Which is beautiful. I think because our culture just is just hammering it in. There has to be this method. And it just happened.
Yeah.
As your family grew.
Yeah.
It just happened that I'll be right back. We got to go get something. Got to go check on the other 2.
Yeah.
And then she's asleep.
Right.
And, there was no, that's awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think every parent ever probably, but especially the ones who end up going down the sleep training route, I know social media fed me lots of guilt and lots of self-doubt,
for sure.
of how could I do this to my child? They're crying out an instinctual cry and I'm ignoring them and they're going to hate me for the rest of their life because I've not met this
the way
need.
that you did it. That's what's happening. That was what was happening.
And so, but then I was especially with our first, when she sleep trained in 3 nights, she did great. And then she was sleeping through the night. And again, same method. She didn't scream her head off for hours and hours. We just let her cry a little bit. Anyways, in the morning, she still greeted us as if we were the best things in the whole wide world. It was
Exactly.
This isn't making sense to me, what I'm being fed by the media and by whoever, these sleep expert people. And then what I'm seeing in reality just doesn't add up to me. So I stopped listening to all that.
And I think it also has to do with the way that you're perceiving it, right? If your kid is unhinged over the fact that you're leaving,
right,
and not just whining about it and getting, mildly upset, that's one thing. But, if in your gut, you're I can't handle this even for the rest of the evening, then you trust your gut.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was on the side of I do not sleep with a baby in my bed. I'm not getting sleep and I'm feel I'm dying. I always remind parents that sleep deprivation is a form of military torture. If you feel you're dying, you kind of are.
Yes.
So I was
train the best of them.
Yeah. I was kind of like, I need the baby to sleep on their own. Right. And not everybody feels that way. Some people love having babies in their beds.
I don't know what I would do without a baby in my bed. What?
Tell us.
Sometimes he'll be like, I'm going to go sleep with my dad. And I'm like,
no.
All right. And then he lasts for 5 minutes and he comes back and I'm like, good. What would I do without
Welcome
you?
back, buddy.
And that doesn't mean my husband does sleep in the bed sometimes, but it's just different for every family.
Yeah. So that's my experience.
Yeah, that's also another situation, right? You have to make sure that it's not inhibiting your marriage life.
Yeah.
That's an important part.
Absolutely.
That's marriage comes first.
Yeah.
And then children. They're the fruit of your marriage. So, if you can't bed share and have a good marriage, then you've got to figure that out and put baby, even if it's in the bed, just in a bed that's in your room.
Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest takeaway we want everyone to take is that there isn't this right and wrong.
No.
And I feel like that's what a lot of times you get from social media is it has to be done this way or you're a bad parent or your child's going to be ruined or whatever.
The science of the brain or the, all the things. And I think our number one takeaway, if you haven't heard so far, is just get off social media.
Yes.
Don't subscribe to the sleep stuff because it will stress you out, especially as a first-time parent. And I know I've had so many first-time parents, I couldn't bed share. I thought the same thing. Mm-hmm. And it's actually funny because the time we were living out in California and we came out here to visit my parents and that way I don't know, there wasn't a pack and play, there wasn't a crib. And it was a big old king size bed, which you didn't have in California because you don't have room for that. And we just put her in between us. And that was the end of it. And that was 4 years ago. And here we are. So, and she's just kind of she just bed hops, and sometimes she sleeps in her own bed. Sometimes she sleeps with Daniel and I. Sometimes we all sleep together. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're all in it in a queen size bed, and we make it work. Mm-hmm. But it's what works best for you. And then Daniel just came out of the womb sleeping in the bed. He did sleep in a pack and play or side crib, whatever, for a number of months, and then when he outgrew that, he's been in the bed ever since. Mm-hmm. And it just is. It's what works. But it doesn't for everyone.
Yeah. And what I kind of tell parents, usually around the 9-month appointment, I might bring up if you're co-sleeping, totally fine. Great. Exactly like you said, that works for you. That's awesome. If you want the baby out of your bed, now's kind of the time.
Sure.
If they get to that 12-month, 15-month, and then you're trying to sleep train, I feel like the success rate, if there was a study, is low.
And they just have more stamina to cry.
Oh yeah.
And to make themselves and you miserable. Mm-hmm. So it definitely, the earlier they can learn to do it is going to be.
Yeah. And two, so then in my experience with patients, not my personal experience, is that usually if you're bed sharing, it's and you go past that 9-month, that 12-month mark, they usually aren't developmentally capable then of leaving the bed until probably 2 or later. Would you say?
Yeah. I suspect you could do it. I don't know. Mine eventually, it's just all such a blur. And I know that my daughter likes her tiny bed and she'll sleep in it. And then sometimes she's like, hey, I just want to be close. Mm-hmm. And so we're just this big tribal living out in the woods family, except for in a bed. And we just all jump in together.
But I'd say in terms of expectation of when can I expect my co-sleeping child, maybe it is starting to be a struggle now that they're 18 months too.
For sure. Well, I think the biggest thing with the struggle are we talking about sleeping through the night? Because I definitely feel like I've got decent experience with that. It's weaning them from the breast at night at a certain point after they're a year of age, if you desire to sleep through the night, because they will and they do. And, my first, she definitely would still wake if I left the bed. My second, he doesn't. He, will sleep. Once I lay down, he goes to sleep. He's pretty good. Mm-hmm. He doesn't, need any.
What was your experience in weaning and co-sleeping? Because I think that's got to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it actually was. It was much like what you talked about with sleep training. Mm-hmm. So, of course I asked all the questions and asked lactation consultant, and I offer water instead or a lovey or something like that. And it lasts for about 3 nights. And then
they're like, I don't want that. And I want to.
Yeah, well, I just still want the mama. That's what we called it at my house. The mama. And we said, no, we're not going to do that tonight. And And
Then they
after
learn.
a few nights, they just figured it out and they're just
so smart.
asleep. Yeah. They're so smart. And they did. They just figured it out and it was okay. But the weaning overnight is what ends up getting, and you can do it still being in the bed with your child.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing. I think with my first, we did all the things like dad was with her and other people were with her. But you can do it. And every kid's fight's a little different. Depends
well,
upon
exactly.
your
Yeah.
kid.
Every kid is so different too. So when you like had a baby who slept through the night, their first baby, and then you're like, gosh, we're such good parents. Like we're so awesome at this, And then you get that second baby who just like refuses to sleep at all.
It's not their jam.
Not happening.
And every baby's different.
Wrong?
Like allow them, I think that's important that every child is different. So don't have expectations.
Mm-hmm. And what I usually recommend for parents who have, the baby's sleeping, say, in another room, but still waking up in the night to nurse at that 6-month, 9-month, even a year old, my recommendation is always like send dad in personally. Because I think you can do it. Like you said, you can say, you can have this, you can have that, but like they smell you. They know you. They're going to put up more of a fight because you're there and you've probably caved before. They know that.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Absolutely. For sure.
And so we typically, when we're ready to night wean, my husband just takes overnights, and we'll soothe them and go in there and then put them back down. And it's a little bit of, for us, like a fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. There are methods, like the Ferber method is kind of like the gentle try it out where you like, if you need a strict plan and you're like committed to training, I would say Ferber method's nice because it gives you like, wait 7 minutes, wait 8 minutes, or, like it like slowly increases over time. We're kind of the people that don't live by rules and just wing it and figure it out, which has worked for us, it doesn't work for everybody. And just like Jen said earlier, if you're like trying it and you're like, I can't do this, fine.
Okay.
Like that's okay. Follow your gut. Not Instagram.
Amen. Oh, that's the next bumper sticker.
Yeah, there you
Follow
go.
your gut, not Instagram. Amen. Ooh.
So tell us a little bit, Jen. I know you touched on your journey, but give us just a timeline because I love to hear your like timeline of how you guys did your sleeping.
Yeah.
And then the reality of it. Like what are some of the pros and cons and kind of struggles to expect? Again, just for like expectations.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, my kids don't necessarily put themselves to sleep. And I mean, I remember, when my husband and I would look at each other and be like, is she ever going to go to sleep?
Mm-hmm.
She was our one that like at, 10 p.m. and she's like 12 months old, just like stacking books on the shelf. Like and we're just all like, what's going on here? So we started bed sharing at like 6 months. And I would say she bed shared with us until she was about 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just kind of like intermittently. She, maybe she would, maybe she wouldn't. And it's still like that. And she's 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Some days she just wants to be close. And like some days we all feel that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some days we just have those days where it's like, I just need to be a little closer to someone.
And you guys split beds for a minute. Is that right? Like she slept with Dustin?
Yeah, she slept when Daniel was first born. She slept with Dustin and I slept with Daniel. And it's still kind of the way that it is. I mean, Daniel sleeps with me. And he's, he'll be 3 in September.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just always been there. And that's his jam. And there's not really anything to it. I do lay with, I am with my kids or we read books or we kind of have a routine, but I tend to lay with my kids. And that was something, at first I had to lay with her for a really long time. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never get time. Yeah, but you're also never going to get time to lay with your kids after they're a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
So, once I just took that off the table that, yeah, I'm going to still be doing dishes at 10 o'clock at night, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I think like they have little beds in Liana's room, which is also Daniel's room that he just doesn't use. And he's taking naps there and, he plays in there and one day he'll transition in there. I just don't worry about it because I feel like a lot of things in momhood, the less I worry about it, the more it just kind of self-corrects. And it's not even correcting. It's just like, it just plays
Figures
out.
itself out. Yeah.
It plays itself out.
Absolutely.
And, he's going to enjoy reading books with her or playing with her until he falls asleep in the near future.
Was there ever a time that it was hard to like go out on a date night because you're the only one who could put him to sleep?
No, I feel like they've always been in someone else's care at some point.
Okay.
And it's always just easier
Yeah.
for someone else. Whether, our babysitter now, she's just the best. She's like, oh yeah, it was a walk in the park. No big deal. And I'm like, you're coming over every night because it won't be an hour long for, you know how it is between brushing teeth and saying books and saying prayers and giving hugs and kisses. And then we have to have 10 more. It's hard. Kids don't want to be separated from you, even if they're co-sleeping. That is something that I've appreciated reading, is that still separating from you, even if they know you're right there in the next room or right there in the bed with them, they have to say goodnight to you for 8 to 12 hours. It's a long time. They don't want to be away from you for that long. Even if it's just, behind their eyelids, you're right there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I love that. I think for our experience, obviously it's like the opposite, which is, again, beautiful and great. I love the diversity of experience. And we started having kids really young,
right?
Like 22, and had lots of kids in fast succession.
Yes. I love it.
Which again was like part of this came out of survival.
Absolutely.
And I just, as we have more kids, was like, oh, I really value being able to like put them down in a crib and walk away. Like that's our pretty much our routine with our infants. Once they're trained, once they know, you just put them down, like might fuss for a minute, and then they're asleep. And I always think it's funny when friends come over and they're like, "Did you just put the baby to bed?"
I love it. That's awesome.
Like, yeah, they like actually sometimes reach for their crib. Like they're like, "Put me in my crib. I'm so tired." But I will say that doesn't mean that we don't go through sleep regressions.
Absolutely.
Same with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like those false starts where they wake up after 30 minutes to an hour and you just, they need a little support. And
Yep. Yeah. We still will have, great sleeper. And then I find the 13 to 15 month age, especially, you get major, I don't know, again, if you've experienced this, major sleep regression where sometimes even Ben will be walking them outside at 3 a.m. There's no reason, no rhyme or reason.
Well, there's so much development going on between walking and talking and learning.
So much.
Their little minds are just on overdrive. And it's like, oh, wait, I got a good 6 hours. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's kind of like us when, we've got a lot going on and we're like, oh, less sleep is, or a solid chunk of sleep. It's enough. Then they crash for nap
And they're
times.
at that age where they can't communicate anything. You're like, I'll give you whatever you want. Here's water, here's food, here's something. And everything is the worst thing you could have ever thought of. And then you're just kind of stuck for a little while.
Yeah.
I don't even want to nurse,
They don't even want that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just I don't even know what I want. They're in such adrenaline.
And then it's even with sleep training, for instance, and bed sharing, you get that 2 and 3-year-old, who they just want to lay with you for an hour, to go to sleep.
I need a drink.
Yes.
I need my lovey.
I need to go
I need
potty.
2 more stories. Oh, my teeth weren't brushed well enough. I got to go potty again.
Mm-hmm.
You can go out there and buy all the things that'll teach you how to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's great ways of doing it. You can also just do it the way you want to.
Yeah,
and the way it feels right to you.
And we've gone through different phases of okay, our 3-year-old is going to lay in the bed by himself. And we make a concentrated effort where it's the rule is you stay in your bed, right? And here's your books and here's your lovey. And we laid with you and we said a story and we sang a song. We did the routine, 30-minute routine. But we're not going to lay here till you're asleep. And that's the rule. And we'll sit outside the room. And if they get up, we're not getting up right now. It's time to lay in your bed and bring them back to their bed. And after 3 nights of that, consistent effort of sitting there at the door and being this is the rule, we stay in bed. Typically they get it. And then, a couple months later, they're out of bed and you don't care and it's all lost again and you start back over,
I feel like that's it with most things. 3 is this, that lucky number. It's no, you have to explain to them. Right now for us, it's we're pottying in the potty, but we have to take off our overnight diaper and our pants and go sit on the potty in the morning. Well, he doesn't want to do that.
No.
But if every morning I consistently, nope, we can't have our supplement, we can't have our breakfast until we do this. When we do this, then we can do this. They figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
That's what he tells me. Oh, fine. After 30 minutes of hassle. But then in a couple of days,
they learn.
He's just going to do it.
He
won't be fighting me anymore.
Yes.
Over it.
Yeah. It's that effort. You have to be so committed. That's what I was going to say. Just commit to it. And
just believe in yourself. Have confidence.
Yeah, they'll get it. They're smart. They're so smart.
So smart.
What else? Have we missed anything?
No.
Done everything?
I mean, sleep you could talk about forever. Yes, there's a science of sleep. Yes, your children need to sleep. But some naps a 30-minute nap can be appropriate for a tiny person.
Yeah.
Things like that. A lot of parents are like, they only nap for 30 minutes today. Well, they're going to be tired tonight.
Yeah. Cat nappers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to start pushing even every 15 minutes their nap down a little bit more to get to that weaning out of a nap or taking a better, longer nap. So it's a lot of
I feel like
trouble.
we get asked a lot too, like, my baby's sleeping this many hours. And you can look up charts online, like here's the appropriate amount of sleep for each baby. I just truly think babies sleep as much as they need to sleep.
Yeah.
And some babies are like those 30-minute nappers and you're like, I am dying, like my baby doesn't nap. Our first was like that. And she didn't nap till she was probably a year old, like a solid 2-hour nap.
Really? Like baby wearing and all that kind of stuff?
If I baby wore her, it would be longer because
Totally.
Walk for 2 hours in the stroller or something.
Yes.
But I generally didn't do that.
Exactly.
So we lived with cat naps until it was over. It was a phase. And that's the thing. Everything's a phase. Like your child will not be waking up through the night in kindergarten. I mean, they might still come in your bed every once in a while, like my 5-year-old did this morning and every morning for the past week. But
just needed you a little more.
He just hops right in. And I promise, like, if it seems like you're dying and this is going to last forever, it will not last forever.
They're not going to go off to college still sleeping in your bed.
No.
Nope.
No, they won't. They'll fly the coop eventually.
And you'll want those snuggles back.
Yeah. Oh, she's sweet.
Yay.
Okay, great. Well, that was super fun.
Yeah, I love it.
I hope everybody enjoys it and gets a little bit of encouragement from it. And again, if you like our podcast, if you get something out of it, feel free to leave us a review whatever you're listening on.
Just walk your own path. Walk your own sleep path. It's okay.
Right.
Do
Turn
what's
off
best for your family.
Instagram. Follow your gut.
That's right. Follow your gut. Turn off Instagram. Latest.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jen.
Of course. Thanks, Caroline.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. To learn more, you can visit our website at fiathealth.org. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. This helps make the podcast easier to find. Lastly, if you'd like to reach out, ask a question, or suggest a topic for a future show, send us an email at media@fiathealth.org. God bless.